5 bullets, 5 kills.
Oh, and another one! Oh, my bullets! Happy said I got the quad kill!
That's the phrase that you're gonna be using after watching this video. The Deagle is a one-tap machine, and luckily, you get to be the operator. What's up, ProGuides fam? Kangas here, and in this video, I'm showing you how to use the Desert Eagle like a global elite. The Deagle is a very powerful weapon, and if you want to know all of its secrets, then hit that sub button, and let's get into it. There's a lot of information about the Desert Eagle that many players completely overlook when playing Counter-Strike. So this short section will be telling you all about the Deagle, its best features, and why it should be your next go-to gun. Firstly, the Deagle is just a cheap weapon, especially for how good it actually is. It only costs $700, so if you want a half buy, it is always the weapon that I go for, as it's just as effective as a rifle in the right hands. The Deagle is a one-hit weapon when shot at the head, and therefore can be used the same way as one-tapping with an AK. Sometimes though, headshots are going to be difficult when enemies are pushing, or on the flip side, when you're pushing out onto a site. It is much more effective to shoot the enemy twice in the body at close range, as it does enough damage to kill them too. Whereas even an M4 may take 4 or 5 bullets to kill. This makes it a very dangerous weapon, as you should win that gunfight. The one problem that many players face when using the Deagle is its inaccuracy when shooting in quick succession. Therefore, you have to wait a small amount of time between shooting. If firing too fast, the bullet spread will be way too far apart, and therefore the accuracy of the weapon will just be worse. If you want to fire rapidly with the Deagle at close range, make sure to stay crouched. Its accuracy will increase there, so spamming it's quite effective. The Desert Eagle also has really good accuracy while crouched walking, but being able to hit one-taps while running is nearly impossible. The final benefit of using the Deagle in certain situations opposed to rifles is the fact that it is a pistol, and therefore not a heavy weapon. This means that your mobility when having the gun in your hands is not affected that much. So rotating between the sides, you can actually have it equipped and not get caught with your knife in hand.
Real quick, I just want to let you all know that we have a 25% off discount going on the website right now. All you got to do is go in, check out, and enter code FPS25 to get that 25% off discount.
And that brings us nicely into our question of the day. Today's question is, what is the best clutch moment that you've ever been in? I love reading all of your stories, so let me know in the comments down below. Alright, when using the Desert Eagle, you have to make sure that you're in the best position to get your kills. The Desert Eagle is a weapon like no other in Counter-Strike, as it embodies the one-hit kill nature. Unlike most weapons in Counter-Strike, the Deagle is a one-shot at all ranges, and therefore the precise aim needed to wield the weapon is a key factor in winning with it. Therefore, you must play different positions and a different playstyle when equipped. For example, on Banana on Inferno, one of the best positions to play with a Deagle is behind half wall. The close range nature of the fights will allow you to fire at maximum speed while retaining the accuracy needed to get the kill. Quite simply, the Desert Eagle is a death machine at close ranges, as it's very difficult for enemies to react fast enough to get the kill on you. But just because the Deagle works very well at close range does not mean that it cannot be used at longer ranges. Another good example of this is when holding ramp on CT side Mirage. I find it very useful to hold this angle from triple box, as I can easily peek out, go for a shot, and then fall back behind cover. Due to the fact that the Desert Eagle can one hit at this range, it makes it difficult for the enemies to actually kill you, as they have to either stand out in the open and get the frag on you, making them an easier target, or they will have to push close to you, therefore putting you in another great position, as they'll be at very close range. And there are some other angles and positions that the Deagle can be heavily favored when using. And these are specifically off angles. They're highly effective, but when overused can actually become pretty predictable. A good example of an off angle is standing in between triple and default, or even in front of Tetris holding ramp. Not a lot of people expect these angles, and therefore you're able to get some extra time from the element of surprise. Playing an off angle will catch the enemy off guard, as they just don't expect you to be there, but in order for that to be true, you just can't do it every round. These off angles aren't always advised, as most of them are out in the open and lack cover, but if you're feeling really confident with the Deagle, don't expect a flash, and think that you can get the quick kill and then run back, just go for it. Every now and then, that off angle will be worth it. Something else you need to be worried about when using the gun is not falling into bad habits. And since with the Deagle specifically, there's tons of them, we've compiled a nice list with the most common mistakes that we see. For starters, running and gunning. Many players will enjoy the idea of rushing a site and trying to get some kills as quick as possible, and with some guns, yeah, that might work, like the MAC-10 and the P90. But when using a weapon like the Deagle, the way you play has to change to be more effective with the weapon. You can no longer just go into the habits of rushing, especially due to the large inaccuracy that the Deagle has when sprinting. Another problem that some players face when using this weapon is not correctly counter-strafing. Counter-strafing properly is very important, because if you don't do it, you're going to be really inaccurate. To give you an example, when peeking to the left, you'll hold down the D key until the point where you're exposed to the angle, and therefore could face an enemy. Instead of just letting go of the D key, it's much better to let go and then press A simultaneously, stopping you in place and therefore being 100% accurate on your first shot. Many players are in a mindset that once they let go of the key, you'll just stop moving, but there is a short period after you let go where you carry on your momentum. And if you need to shoot quickly after letting go, your body will still be in motion, giving you less accuracy on your gun. Of course, these are just one of the many bad habits with the Deagle though, and if you really want to find and fix all your mistakes, the only way to do it is to go talk with one of our coaches at ProGuides.com. I won't be able to cover everything in this video, but they can watch your VODs or even go into a game with you, play with you, and then tell you everything you're doing right and wrong. Alright, for this next tip, it's all about when not to purchase the Desert Eagle. Although the Deagle is a great weapon and can win you rounds, sometimes it's unnecessary to buy it. For example, on both pistol rounds, buying the Deagle is often a bad idea, as both the Glock and USP or P2000 are both one-hit headshot weapons. So buying armor and keeping your default weapon is just much smarter. Sometimes on ego rounds, it might be a lot better to buy some utility to help your team, instead of trying to be the hero and attempting to win the round on your own. And finally, when using the op, you should try to have a fast fire rate pistol as your secondary, because if you miss your shot and the enemy's pushing you, you need to be able to get that kill quickly. As mentioned before, one of the main problems with the Deagle is the fact that it only has 7 bullets. This means that you have to make sure when using the hand cannon, you are constantly aware of your positioning and where the enemies are. If you just shot 6 or 7 bullets with the Deagle, you're gonna need to reload. So if you're out in the open, an enemy can just peek your angle and you're gonna die. So make sure that when you're using the Deagle, you constantly have a good track of how many shots you've taken, because you don't want to be surprised when you have to reload out of cover. This lack of ammo is why many players will constantly play close walls and be in positions where you're just peeking out, shoot a bullet, and then fall back to cover. This leaves you in a much stronger position because if you need to reload, you're safe, and if the enemies are pushing, you have cover as well. When using the Deagle, you have to have a completely different mindset and playstyle to get the kills. The best way to use it is to play a much more passive style. You have to slow down how you usually play, and make sure to guarantee your kills and work off your enemy's mistakes. On T and CT side, I will usually silently push up towards a close angle with the Deagle, and just wait 30 to 40 seconds for an enemy to push into my crosshairs. This may seem kind of boring and uninteresting, but this passive style of play will make sure that you get kills, and also give your team a lot of information on where your opponents are playing from. The Desert Eagle is very strong, but it's going to be pretty difficult to win a round completely on your own with it. That's why on half-buy rounds, if the whole team decides to buy the Deagle and sticks together, there's a high chance of winning the rounds, as the Deagle is either a 2-shot to the body or a 1-shot to the head. So when working together as a unit, a team of Deagles can be just as dangerous as a team of AKs. Because the Deagle has to be used in a very accurate way with the low ammo capacity, make sure that you spend some time warming up with both the AK and Deagle before your games. You want to make sure you're getting those crispy one-taps, and you have to make sure you're hitting them in your warm-ups too. Basically, just make sure that you use the weapon as much as you can, and really spend your time warming up into it. Because after completely mastering the Deagle, there won't be rounds where you can't get kills. Although crosshair placement is important when using any weapon, when using the Desert Eagle specifically, crosshair placement may be the most important factor that affects whether you get your kills or not. The Deagle doesn't have the most ammo or a fast fire rate, so every bullet counts, especially the first one. After the enemy hears the piercing sound of a Deagle shot, they know exactly where you are, and they can quickly kill you. So that's why having perfect crosshair placement is going to save you a lot of hassle in the future when using this. Hold your crosshair at head height at all times when using the Deagle, as it best serves as a one-tap machine. Don't keep your crosshairs too close to the wall too when peeking or holding an angle, as you won't be able to react quickly enough. Set yourself up for success, not for failure. Making sure that you have the best crosshair placement will put you in a better opportunity to get those kills. And leading on nicely from the last tip, we're going to touch upon trigger discipline when using this weapon. Trigger discipline is the idea of holding back your shots and letting enemies push up, and therefore giving you a higher chance of getting the kills, as the enemies don't know that you're there. For example, having good trigger discipline is generally favored for the CTs, as they have the chance to kill the bomb planter and give teammates time to rotate towards the site. Due to the Deagle's poor accuracy when shooting quickly, make sure you know where most of the enemies are. This will help you a lot when using the Deagle, as you can precisely switch between their positions and then get kills quickly. The Deagle is one of the most satisfying guns in the game when used correctly, but it can be pretty tough to nail down. So if you're still struggling with using the Deagle even after this video, then make sure to sign up with a coach at ProGuides.com so they can help you find and fix all of your mistakes. Also, if you enjoyed the video, remember to leave a like and subscribe. We got a ton of new content coming your way that you won't want to miss out on. That's it for today, so best of luck with the grind, and I'll see you next time.